Man, my camera just ran out of memory. It's just starting to get good too. Now, I believe I was talking about the cost of your anesthesia education. Obviously you can get loans. I never did. I don't really believe in such a complex financial contraption. But for those of you who are normal, you'll probably be getting loans to fund your graduate degree. And really, you do have to dig a little deeper into a school to find out how much your education will really cost. For example, there are several prestigious institutions that are usually pretty expensive, but when it comes to the anesthesia part of their programs, there's all sorts of stipends and scholarships, grants and things of that nature that can actually make the education much more affordable than you think. On the other hand, there are many public schools that have relatively cheap tuitions, but they might add another cost for your clinical fees of several thousand a semester, and you know, it's kind of difficult to swallow when you think, well, here I am giving free care, but also paying an additional fee for the privilege of giving free care. Not that you should be paid as an anesthesia student, but I think you understand. So you may ask, why does the cost matter? Well, let's take nursing school for an example. This is a great example actually. Your nursing education will be pretty similar wherever you go. Everyone takes the NCLEX, whether you are a diploma graduate, ADN graduate, or BSN graduate. You're still going to take the same test. Everyone has the same exact criteria that they have to meet by the governing bodies. They have to cover the exact same topics, they have to devote certain clinical times to this specialty or that specialty. So you are getting a similar education. Now, obviously there are some differences depending on how good your professors are, how good your clinical preceptors are, but I don't think there is any example from the worst nursing program in America to the best nursing program in America where that difference is worth, let's say, 40 grand. It just isn't. That's all there is to it. No one in healthcare looks at your resume and says, well, because you went to this school, we're not really going to take anything else into consideration. We'll just hire you because I'm sure that you don't kill patients nearly as often as someone who graduated from this program will. It doesn't matter as much. Obviously, business school, yes, it does matter where you go. But in healthcare, it's not that big of a deal, really. Compared to the cost difference that you'll find between schools, the quality just doesn't match up with that difference. So, the last point I wanted to bring up was disruption. And that means disruption to your normal lifestyle. Are you going to be moving across the country to some place where you don't know anyone, trying to set up your own social network, not in a Facebook type of way, but a literal social network, trying to set up your own, you know, place to live? Or is this just going to be the hospital down the street that has a nursing program, so you're just going to stay at home with mom and dad or whoever and go to school that way? You obviously want to minimize disruption as much as possible, while at the same time I don't think this is nearly as important as the other two factors. So one thing you have to realize is you sometimes have to balance that between what is the best program for me, what can I afford, and what will cause the least disruption to my life. And that's because you only will have a finite amount of time, and you really don't want to spend that time getting lost in a new city, not having any friends. Because as my older brother, it's only fair he's my older brother as an example, since I already used my younger brother as for one. My older brother wasn't able to concentrate very well when he first went to graduate school. So he decided he would remove everything from his apartment so that he would only be focused on his schoolwork. However, he found a printer manual, and he read that manual to his computer printer backwards and forwards, just because it was something that he could do to procrastinate. So sometimes thinking if I'm all alone, I'll get so much more work done, really doesn't work. The hermit lifestyle doesn't really lend itself to stellar scholastic, academic, and clinical performance. I'm sure there's something else I could talk about. So I talked earlier about not being lazy. One way you can do that is to make sure you're always on time for something. For me as a person, I'm often late. And it's simply because I'm selfish and I don't care enough about other people's time to consider them and be on time for them. That's all there is to it, if I were to be perfectly honest. And I am. I know what the issue is. But as a student, because again, you want to avoid any appearance of being lazy, Even if you have to like walk purposefully along the hallways pretending to be doing something. But don't overdo that, because I did that as a nurse tech, and then I noticed I overheard a staff member saying, "Ooh, let's see how many laps he does this time." And I realized, okay, this isn't as subtle as I thought it was, is it now? So, to avoid any pretense of not being motivated, of not caring about learning, because if you care about learning, people will go out of their way to teach you things. And really that's an issue too, to go on a tangent for a minute, that's an issue too with how do you select the clinical preceptors to try new skills with, and which ones do you realize quickly, I need to just do the basics that I know how to do well so that I don't get some horrible evaluation. That's the word I was looking for. So I don't get a horrible evaluation at the end of the day. And that can be tough because it's hard to gauge healthcare providers. They're used to dealing with annoying, obnoxious patients every day and smiling at them saying, "Oh, that's not a problem at all. You're fine, sweetheart." When they're really thinking, "I don't like you. You're annoying. You're rude. You need to get better and get out of here." See? So it can be difficult to gauge those personalities. So it sometimes helps to get an evaluation from someone, to spend a day with them, and then you can say, "Hey, do you mind if I try a remifentanil Precedex drip? Or do you mind if we use ketamine along with propofol for this case? Or if I use a Miller 3 blade instead of the Mac 4 that I'm so comfortable with?" And obviously I'm giving anesthesia examples, but the same thing goes with learning assessment skills as a nurse, or trying to figure out different equipment. That you really need to know, when do I just hone in on the basics, what I'm very good at, and when do I have the opportunity to try to expand my knowledge. This does work with the philosophy of a program. Obviously a cutthroat one where you think, if I make a mistake, they're going to kick me out of the program. Then you're a little bit less inclined to learn new skills. You'll suffer for it, but at the same time, needing to graduate is obviously a more important step than, learning how to do a lateral approach for a spinal or whatever. Yeah, that's all I got. I've been videotaping from the hotel bed. I put a pot upside down on that bed to have a level surface for that camera. That pot obviously being what I've been using to cook with that camping stove. Next time, my wife says that we should get a hotel that has a kitchen. That way I won't be starting fires indoors. That's a preposterous idea. Yeah, I'm just kidding. She's right. I'm wrong.